Welcome to our first YouTube podcast for Design House. I would say, since this is a novel, this is Design Dialogue, the podcast edition. My name is Asakome Ferdinand, and I have with me
Una Taiwo
and
Shama Idibe.
after now, no more government names, just first names, nicknames. So you can call me Big Fish.
I call Winner Big Winner. And I bet you Big Chef.
But anyways, not to mess around so much. Today, we're looking at design from an interesting point of view. We're looking at what we do here at the Design House, right? We are trying to build a community, and we just stepped into the studio, and today is one of those days that we just feel like it's nice to talk about the whole process of community building, And this is a conversation, so it's not. I don't want it to go the same route that Design Dialogue to the party goes. I just want us to talk. We're having a random conversation, guys. So yeah, community is not easy.
Yeah,
What do you think about it?
yeah, so Winner.
Yeah, to me, to define the word community, I feel like community is a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
Community is something that frustrates a lot of. We were talking about it earlier. To be a community manager is like a whole lot of work on its own. So I feel like the word belonging, to make people feel, you have to put yourself in the shoes of everybody on the team, whether it's good, whether it's bad. So the sense of belonging is just a short phrase that I can use to qualify the word community. How you make people feel in your community, how you make people that are underneath you, that you are influenced by, or that you influence, how you make them feel in terms of the deliverables that you assign to them or they are assigned to. That's what the word community means to me.
I like the angle that you've started from, because considering that this is the podcast series, you have a more intimate sort of setup right now, and it just makes me realize that the fact that you are associated to something doesn't mean you find a community in that city, right? And I think it's okay. I think it's fine. It's just that sometimes we mistake association for community. You understand? The fact that you're within the proximity of Design House, the fact that you're within the proximity of wherever space you are, doesn't mean you belong to the community as a community member. That's from the community member side of things. So, for me, when you decide that you belong to it, it now kind of switches from I know these people, so I'm part of these people. On the good days, I'll be here. On the bad days, I'll be here. No matter what. The only issue is when you are not the community member and the community leader and the community waiter or the custodian. For everybody, the job is show up. But for you, you're planning what happens before the day that they show up. If there's a show up, you plan events. You spend hours trying to brainstorm, trying to make stuff work the way you think they'll be in their heads and in your head. And a lot of the times it doesn't go well. Sometimes it goes well until you hit that sweet spot where you know for sure what you have going on is just bringing up autopilot.
Yeah, so I want to say something from what you said, and also from what you said. But so, what I want to say is regarding what you said as like community mix is like it's a comfort space where you feel comfortable around the people, right? And that's very key, because the smallest unit of a community is called family.
Yes,
right? So community building actually is identical to family building, but some things go well, some things don't go well, right? So yeah, William was just saying that like community is a space where you feel comfortable to, and then a space where you have some form of identity, right? Where you gain some form of identity. And I think the smallest unit of community in general, whether it's traditional community or modern community is a family. That's where the community actually starts. That's where people start to gain a sense of belonging. That okay, on the good days, on all form of days, these are the people that I know to be my source of motivation, my source of drive, my source of inspiration to do life generally, right? So I think that's very important to note. And there's also something that Ferdinand said that stood out to me, that simply because you are associated with a certain group of people doesn't mean those people are community, right? And that's also very important to note, because there are some certain walks of life that you have to actually be identified with other people that are not your tribe, right? So I want to use that word tribe because it sounds more traditional, right? But because you know your tribe, you know where you're from, you get, you know what, oh yeah, like okay, well, let's do this, and I know my calling, I know my roots. So building that sense of community is where being a community leader now comes in. That's the whole, is different from being a member at this point. Now you're looking at, okay, it's like being the father of a house or the mother of a house.
That made a lot of sense.
Right.
For you, that actually resonated, because now talking about the word community kind of made me think of a scenario that happened earlier this week. Because currently I work in tech and I'm a product manager for an interior design tech company. So we have like an upcoming event that we are planning to host. So this is an event that brings creative from different walks of life across Africa and beyond for Africans in diaspora. So, which means that you might have to intersect with people, users from outside the country, from Kenya, from Ghana, from India, from Germany, and different continents. So, to involve in a particular task or deliverable, to perform a particular deliverable, and me being the project manager, the project lead for the platform, involves me taking up a community leader role per se, indirectly. But sometimes I have to influence the project teams to do what is right, to know when is the right time to communicate. Like I said earlier this week, there was a conversation that happened that were not supposed to happen on the group chats, that the commissioner kind of felt like we had to psychologically connect with these people if we want them to do some certain things. So he had to reach out on our own platform saying that, guys, I noticed that you guys are doing this. I noticed that you guys are doing what. It would be best if we address these people this way, because we need to understand that these people that you assign this task have different view, especially some of them that are volunteers. They have a different perspective of what you think, because they are not paid for this job. You want them to volunteer, so there's a particular way we should address them at all. So as at that time, some of the leaders might have acted out of impulse. This impulse is the right word. Acted out of pressure and said what we're not supposed to have been said. So it becomes that kind of made us realize the importance of putting ourselves in the shoe of our followers, just so we can be able to achieve tangible results at the end of the day. And we were able to use that particular approach that I mentioned that the community leader recommended, and from there we're getting responses from them. We started noticing that they're acting the way they're supposed to act, dropping feedbacks as well. Understand that some things that might be offensive to you as a Nigerian is not something that is offensive to somebody that is from Kenya. Your sense of humor is different from the kind of sense of humor you have as a Nigerian is different from what a South African might have. There's some jokes that you make and they won't get it. So it's just you now looking for a common ground on where can we come together and just find balance. Okay, this is what it is. This is work. How do I differentiate this from this? How do I, just to make sure that we are both on the same page and we try towards achieving the same goal. So I believe that the importance of community can never ever be overemphasized in being a thriving organization, an organization that wants to drive for success.
Yeah.
I agree, and you said a lot of things that made sense. You had my head bouncing through different thought processes, and I just feel that makes a lot of sense, especially when you pointed out the whole scenario with acting on impulse, especially when or you're trying to achieve. I mean, they say that there are many rules to the market, so perhaps when you are trying to achieve the medium which you're trying to achieve something doesn't go the way you want. I see how that can be frustrating. Part of a community leader, understand what I mean? And then considering every other thing you said, knowing your tribe, knowing where you belonging somewhere, I think is very important for everyone to belong to a community. I don't think there's anywhere that community has been easy work, right? There's a community of God, there's a community of Nigeria, community of work. Whichever community you want, whichever context you decide to go community in, and it has never been easy. So I do not expect there to be any easier to rate a desired community. But the most important thing for community building is showing up consistently. I see this happen in churches a lot. If one new person comes, it is a win. If 10 new people come, it's still a win. You understand? If no one comes, it's still a win. I mean, every single day, being able to show up for your community in itself is a win against the forces that say the community shouldn't push forward. Perhaps we send this video out, we share this on our platforms, and then we don't get to have it a large crowd right now. Perhaps we can have 2, 4, 5 new followers. For me, that's okay. You understand? Because today is 5 followers, but when 5 followers turn to 10, then turn to 50, you don't even realize that you are what they call it, you are creating something organic here, which is also very important. So it's very essential that what we do is organic.
Yeah, so something you just said now, what I was going to say from what he was saying was that there's this quote, Rome wasn't built in a day, but every day they build. And that was like part of what he was saying about like 10 new followers, 5 followers, 1 follower, 2 followers, 1 like. That's building community actually. And it's not just, I mean, we live in a very digital age, you know, right? So we might have to debrief our conversation with our new community members.
Also, welcome, Joseph.
I thought someone else was outside.
Yes, but she won't be able to join the set right now.
So,
Yeah.
these are
Debrief, okay.
Yeah, we are discussing I won't call it struggles, I would say the reality of creating a community, right? For obvious reasons. Today we were looking forward to a more progressive crowd from last month. But then we do not have, I mean, there's just us that are around. And we just want to stay so cool. And we have this podcast initiative that has been brewing, right? Still for the exact now. So we thought, okay, since we're just a couple of people around, let's just have the podcast, going conversation was the reality of building a community where on some days you have this large crowd which looks very motivated, and then on some days you have almost nobody, but you still need to show up because the story continues. All of these are layers to the story, so we're just sharing some of our experiences, especially as community members, and in this case community creators or leaders.
Yeah, so no, there was something he said. I just want to add that Fed just mentioned that even like in a church in a church setting when there's like a new member in the church or 10 new members, like is a win, right? And even when there's no new member, it's also a win because the people gathering is a win in itself, right? There's bonds being strengthened by just them gathering. And then what he was saying just reminded me of something, and he related it to like, okay, even building a channel, for example, a YouTube channel, whatever, like you get 1 subscriber today, you get 5 new subscribers tomorrow, and before you know, you have like 1,000 subscribers. Before you know, it's 100k, right? And I was just thinking about the quotes. Rome wasn't built in a day, but every day they built. Right, and that made a lot of sense to me because in community building, so we're looking at it as from like 2 levels actually. We're looking at it as being community builders, which is being in a leadership role, and then also being a member where you're actually being nourished by the community. So for us in Design House, we're actually a design community because that's one thing we all share. That's like one of our identity cores, right? Design, and design in all its forms, really. And that shared identity is something that can make us, our love for design at least, is something that we can use, looking at it from the leadership role, to actually motivate people to stay consistent, to stay hungry to be part of community, right? But then as a leader, that's really where we need to find out, okay, which approach. So we related community to family, back to family, right? Because family is the smallest unit of the community, right? So that perspective, I don't know if you have anything to.
Okay, I mean, you guys have already shared like very great insights already, and I think everybody had like a sense of understanding for what community is, and we already like the point I was going to buttress on was what you spoke about. Rome wasn't built in a day, but they kept building like every day. Yes, so I think that's how communities, like that's how the fun community, or that's how community grow. I don't know, there's no community that just sprang from nowhere. This is something like this gathering we already have. This is something that we keep on being like this. Sometimes it's large crowds, sometimes it's small. Till we're able to like have a formidable number of persons, you understand? So it's just the shared identity that we have, which is design, and then how that design is interpreted within all of us. And then with that, we'll carry the culture around, and we'll see people who resonate with that. So it's just to keep preaching the word, and honestly, you can't get tired of doing that, because that's when you will see people who resonate with this ideology. Take for instance me coming all the way to just be here physically. I had to pass through like different roads because the road is totally blocked, like coming down this way. Or even with that, like what the experience I had the last time, I brought somebody along to just also experience that same, because I saw a shared identity within us, and I felt like, okay, this is something we don't usually have, like designers coming to sit together, converse about the struggles, maybe the realities. And I think that is the main center of attraction. That's the core message that we'll keep preaching through different means, and with that we'll get to see people who are like-minded, interested. And the thing is, I feel like we should almost streamline it to just being present in a physical location or so there are other methods that we need to like implement going forward, and that would create more a sense of identity. Because if we are leaving it to just an event at the end of the month, it's going to be like, well, it's just an event I'm coming for, I can come again next time, you get. So what if we have like recurring activities like a proper community would? Because it will not be we us physically, it will be something small, but let's feel like we belong here. Let's feel like we can share truly beyond just a one-time event. So and that's just key.
Joseph has spoken really great there. He has even open line mind, so a lot of things. I know we're quite short on time. I believe maybe myself and Joseph can continue conversation
even off camera, because there's a lot that he has said. Out of the lot he has said, these are a few things that
I think we are taking. Coming into this session, I was looking at struggles of the community creator, but living, especially after Joseph has spoken, I am now looking at the struggles of a community member trying to find fits in the community. You can't just come. I mean, there's love at first sight, you understand? But then there's a lot of work that goes beyond the first day that needs to be done for someone to actually stay. I don't know if you get what I mean. So him saying, okay, what we are doing, the monthly meetup is sweet, but we need to keep some other stuff going on in the background, just as a way to anticipate what happens at the end of the month. Perhaps do some more, like on the side of the community creators. I mean, do a little bit more than behind the scenes, more virtual that can really keep people in, and then prepare people or prepare their minds for the next dialogue, which is something that I haven't even looked. That's an angle that I haven't looked at community building from. I mean, we are not content creators, so even if we create content, we are trying to build a community, which means we need to go out of our way to look for other creative ways to like draw people in. And again, still as Joseph was talking, it made me realize that we are designers. We should understand that we don't have time. We are quite introverted. and some days we just don't want to see anybody. So if I am a designer, if this is the language of designers, then I think it makes sense to share some grace. Yeah, because for some people, this is why already the UPs they come out. This one is usually outside, they come every month. So I guess it makes sense for us to say once in a while that okay, I can understand why you don't want to come out this month. So it's not like you need to come out then. So yeah, we can look at things from that point of view, which is again a testament to the fact that there are always two sides to a coin. We can always choose to look at any situation either positively or negatively. So whether we're not we are 4, whether we're 2, whether we're 10 million, the fact that we can gather and we can discuss, share ideas is always going to be a win. It's going to be a win. I'm going home really grateful that we didn't lend to this slide because believe me, have so much to think about. There's so much to discuss about.
It's still like the insights from what we've shared. There's still so much to.
There's so much more we can do to really keep people, because again, the idea of design dialogue is the idea of design house is awesome. It's brilliant. Design dialogue, fantastic. But then beyond design house and design dialogue, what else can we do? What more can we do? What can we do to really keep people in tune? Maybe someone's forte is not to come and talk. Maybe the person loves to write. Maybe this person loves to design. Maybe we have not keyed into the interests of like that who still work within the design space. We haven't keyed into their interests. That's why they haven't been pulled in. Maybe this person just wants to come and not discuss anything related to design at all. Just stay with designers and they will just banter about the struggles of being a designer and navigating and listing on Nigeria. Yeah, or in the case where you're not in Nigeria, this tech on life. Yeah, there's a lot to take from. So I'm really, really grateful.